YouTube, we is back with another video, man. We're gonna be putting the big Brembo brake kit on my Chrysler 300. It's a 2015 300C, but this goes for Chargers, Challengers, you know, everything that's non-SRT. So, and if you is new to this, like learning all the ins and outs of doing the brake swap, you need to listen to all this talking I'm finna do at the beginning of this video, because I did so many things wrong, bro. Like, y'all don't even understand the hell I went through. The install itself wasn't that bad, but getting the parts and all the little things I learned along the way, I'm finna like go over them right now so that y'all don't do the same mistakes that I do. And yes, the car is pink now. I'm recording this whole intro after I already did the brakes, and it's been like a month since I put them on. So in that time, I also wrapped the car, but we'll go over that in another video probably. But first things first with the brakes, bro. Okay, so first off, something you should know is that in 2021, SRT changed their calipers and their rotors because they went to a bigger rotor. It's literally like a couple millimeters bigger, but that means that the bigger rotors from 21 and up will not fit for the 6-piston calipers from a 2020 and below, or vice versa. You can't have 21 calipers with 2020 rotors because they're not gonna work. So if you getting calipers and rotors, you either need them from a 2015 through 2020 and they gotta match up, or you need them from a 2021 and up and they gotta match up. So that's the first thing I did wrong. I had I had bought four calipers and 4 rotors off Marketplace, and the dude didn't tell me. I'm sure that's why he was selling them so cheap. He didn't tell me that the rotors was from a 2021, so they was big as hell, and the calipers was from a 2020, so the big rotors wouldn't fit inside the calipers. They was rubbing. So be aware of that. If you ordering parts, make sure you basically just get it all from the same year. Get it all from a 2021 and up, or get it all from a 2020 and below. So don't mess up like that. And the second thing, as y'all probably already know, is of course you have to have SRT hubs and SRT spindles to do the brake swap in general. And the same thing applies. Since they did different calipers in 2021, if you got 2021 calipers, you got to get 2021 spindles, SRT spindles. If you got 2020 and below calipers, you got to get 2020 and below SRT spindles. So just match all your years up is all I'm saying. And if I was you, I would try to stick to something 2015 through 2020, because that's a whole lot more years that they made them. So it's gonna be a whole lot easier to find parts. But as far as the spindles go, I also learned the hard way. I bought used SRT spindles off eBay from, you know, one of them junkyard sites that sells parts. Well, one of the spindles was bent, and you couldn't really tell. Like, it didn't look bent. It was just slightly bent, but it was bent just enough to where it was rubbing on my spring, on my well, you can't see, but it was rubbing on my strut. So I had to, luckily, you know, it's eBay, so you got a little more like safety or whatever. So they was able to send me my money back, whatever. But if I was you, I would just buy brand new spindles. People don't know this. I'm gonna put y'all on game. You can buy brand new SRT spindles on Amazon for pretty much the same price that I was seeing used SRT spindles going for on Marketplace and stuff. So I'm gonna link the description. I'm gonna link the spindles in the description so that y'all, if y'all wanna buy them brand new, y'all can. And the only difference is they don't have SRT stamped on the back, but they are for SRT. They do bolt up with the 6-piston Brembos, as you can tell, because that's what I'm running right now. I got 6-piston fronts, 4-piston rears. I got the 2-piece drilled and slotted rotors, and everything worked out fine with those spindles. And then, as y'all see in the clips later on, like before I put everything on, I got all the other parts, you know, used. I got the rear hubs, and then I did end up buying rotors used on eBay, and I bought the rear rotors brand new from AutoZone or whatever. So there's that too. But really, I'm just trying to let y'all know. I know it's a lot of talking, and if you already know this shit, go ahead and skip all this and get to the install if you want to. But I'm just letting y'all know, be aware that they changed everything in 2021. So either stick with 2015 through 2020 parts or stick with 2021 and up parts. Don't try and mismatch them because it's not gonna work. And it's such a slight difference, you really can't tell by looking at them. So you might order them and be like, he don't know what he's talking about. They look the same to me. They're not gonna be the same, I'm trying to tell you. So, and one more thing is the brake lines. So if you're running 6-piston fronts, you have to get upgraded brake lines that came off of Hellcat or SRT because they require, or they take, more brake fluid or whatever, so the hose has to be bigger. And the rears, everybody was saying you don't have to upgrade brake lines for the rear 4-piston, but that's cap, because I'll put it in the video of which exact side it was, but one side you can use the factory brake line because it has the correct bend in it to bolt up to the Brembo, but the other side, it has a hard 90-degree bend on it from the factory caliper, and it will not bolt up right to the Brembo. Like, the angle's gonna be off, and it's gonna put your brake line in a like, it's gonna crease it or whatever. So basically, you're gonna need 2 front brake lines for the 6 pistons and 1 rear brake line, SRT brake line, for one side of the rear. The other side still has factory brake line. We're gonna get into the install of this. After I get done talking about it, it'll be back to about a month ago when I first got all the parts ready. But I just wanted to put this at the beginning of the video so that y'all know right then and there what not to do. But they did turn out good. They look hella good. I'm probably gonna end up wrapping these with some reflective vinyl. 1, because I like the reflective, and 2, because it's black. I want to be able to see the Brembo. Like, I got them mainly for looks because they look good. I ain't really tripping about performance because I don't put the car on the track. I don't really be cutting up like that anyway. And with them being black, you really can't, you can't see them how I want to be able to see them because they blend in. So I'm probably gonna end up wrapping them different color, but yeah, my little yap session over. I think that covers everything, and we'll get into the install, and hopefully this video will help y'all. Hopefully y'all can learn something from it. And yeah. All right, y'all, we finally doing the big brake Brembo upgrade on my 2015 Chrysler 300 5.7. It's hella dirty right now because all this pollen and stuff, so don't mind that. But I finally pieced all the parts I need together. So everything you're gonna need is rotors, front and rear. You're gonna need if you can find the brake lines that come with the 6-piston rotors, you can have those straight off the Hellcat, but these didn't come with them, so I had to order new ones. So these, I'll put the part numbers and stuff in the description. And you only need front brake lines because the 4-piston, your factory brake lines can handle that, but you need the bigger ones for the 6-piston. But rotors, brake lines, you're gonna need rear hubs or spindles, whatever you want to call them, that are SRT, so that the 4-piston rears can bolt up. And then you're gonna need front spindles, SRT spindles, so that the 6-pistons can bolt up. And then of course your calipers. And I went ahead and got some power stop, carbon ceramics, brake pads to keep these from building up a whole lot of brake dust and all that stuff. But I finally pieced everything together. It took probably, it took some months to really get it all together because I couldn't find the whole complete set that was on the deal. I could, but I just ain't want to spend that money. So I was able to find the calipers and these front rotors as a whole kit on Marketplace. Front and rear calipers and front rotors as a kit. My homeboy was selling these rear hubs and rear rotors, so I bought those as a set. And then I bought both of these front spindles individually on eBay. And then the brake lines and brake pads are brand new from AutoZone or whatever. But you can go whichever route you want. If you can find a parts car, that's your best bet. If you can find a whole SRT front cradle, that's also a good thing. Or somebody that's got the whole kit already for sale on eBay. Like my homeboy, he found everything you need. He found it all in one kit on eBay for a decent deal. It really just depends if you feel like waiting on the right deal or just feel like, cashing out and buying it all together and not, worrying about the price. But with that being said, I'm gonna include a part of this video. When I first got these spindles and stuff, they had been off of the donor car for a while, so all these bare metal spots was rusty. So I'm going to include me sandblasting those. All I did, I had a cheap sandblaster. You can barely even call it that. I got it from Harbor Freight. Y'all gonna see that in the video. I'll insert that here pretty soon. sandblasted them down, repainted them, got them ready, you know, prepped and everything for install. Did the same thing on the back ones. And then rotors are good and all that stuff. So I'm gonna include that part. And now what I'm gonna do is paint these with high temp caliper paint. The brand is G2. I went ahead and decided I'm gonna paint them black, and I'm gonna do pink Brembos because I'm wrapping the whole car pink eventually. And I didn't want to do the calipers in pink, one, because it'd be too much pink, and two, because the wrap that I'm doing is it's a real uncommon pink. So it was gonna be almost impossible to match this, and I couldn't match it with the exact wrap I'm using because that wrap's not heat proof. So it would eventually bubble up, peel up, all that stuff. So I'm doing black with pink Brembo stickers. I'm putting new pads in here. I'm gonna clean these up real good, all that stuff. So this is basically step 2, because sandblasting these and painting them was step 1. So step 2, prepping everything else, cleaning these up, painting them, and then step 3 will be finally installing them. So I'm gonna set the camera up while I clean these up and paint them, and then after that we'll get them installed. It'll probably be another week or 2, but through the power of editing and all that stuff, it'll only be 5 minutes. So y'all stay tuned, get these put on there, and let's do it. All right, y'all, so we finally got them painted, and I let them sit overnight to fully cure and everything. And then I just cut out my stickers out of the pink vinyl that I'm gonna be using to wrap the whole entire car. I cut the Brembo stickers out here and here, and then the bigger ones for the 6 piston. I applied those, and we'll see. I mean, these are calipers, so they do get hot, and this is regular car vinyl. It's not high heat or heat proof vinyl, so we'll see if it holds up. I've done some of my homeboys like this with the same paint and with the same, you know, just regular car vinyl, and it's held up for over a year, so we should be good. But they turned out pretty good. There's a few like rough spots or whatever you want to call it, but some of that was in the powder, the previous layer of powder that was already on these calipers from the factory. There was chips taken out of it and stuff like that. So, and their brakes, so I ain't super worried about it. But the fronts turned out good, the rears turned out good. I know this pink looks kind of red on camera, but y'all will just have to see in other pictures and stuff that it's definitely pink. It's really a satin chrome pink, so that's why it kind of looks red on camera, but it definitely looks pink in person, so it's good. But and you can still see the red in here, but I mean that don't matter at all because them big old brake pads gonna be covering all that up, so that's why I wasn't super worried about it. This would even be easier to do it while it's on the car because it's already mounted, so you know what's going to be seen and what's not, so you know where you don't have to paint at. Like I didn't paint right here because I knew it'd already be mounted on the car, so you wouldn't see any of these areas. And then also it'd be easier on the car because like the way I'm having to lean these, unless I can hang them or something, you know, there's going to be a spot on the back, which the back don't matter either, in my opinion. I don't really care. So whatever you want to do, if they're on your car already, I definitely recommend leaving them on there and painting them while they're on the car. If not, you know, do whatever you want to do. But I'm gonna pull these out in the sun, try and get some pictures and some videos and stuff of them to post on my Instagram and stuff. And then next time I pick up the camera, we will be installing them. So y'all stay tuned for the rest of the video, and I'll see y'all in a little bit. All right, y'all, so I got all my parts laid out that I'm gonna need to do the brake swap. I got the car in the air. I am gonna do the front first because I'm gonna do this over like a whole week span because I keep having to go to work and stuff. So I'm doing it piece by piece, but I went ahead and took this side off so that I can get a feel for how everything comes off before I start recording. So when I'm recording, I can tell you everything to do and what not to do. So this is basically just me testing. When I get to the other side, I'm actually recording me taking everything off, like time-lapsing it and stuff. So everything you're gonna have to do to take all of this apart is you're gonna take this upper control arm off, caliper off, of course, the rotor, and then back here you got your tie rod that you have to take off, and that's that bolt. You have this control arm right here, which is that bolt right there. And then your lower control arm ball joint bolt or whatever is this one up top right there. And then once you get all those off, everything should come off. And is what I did is last night in preparation for this, I sprayed everything with WD-40 just so everything would be already kind of broke loose a little bit, because some of these fittings can be a pain to get out. They don't want to come out. And a lot of them, you got to break the nut loose, and then you got to hit them with a hammer. Like on this upper control arm, you hit the top of the spindle right here. It's made for it. It's got these indentions or these raised parts to actually hit, and the vibration will cause it to come loose and come out. Same with this with these bottom sides. I'll be able to get better views and everything once we get the rotor and stuff off. But yeah, y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna set up the camera and we're gonna get this side done. All right, y'all, so sorry about the camera angle, but caliper's off, rotor's off. Caliper's just these two bolts right here. They're two 21mm bolts. And then don't forget to take this brake line bracket off, which is a 10mm bolt right here. And it just holds this bracket on, it holds the brake line. But you can go ahead and take it off. And you're really not supposed to let these brake lines hang, or calipers hang by the brake lines, which this one's on the ground anyways. It's not even, there's still plenty of slack in it. But I got all new ones for the 6 pistons anyway, so I ain't worried about it. But yeah, speed sensors disconnected. So now we'll start up here, take this off, and all these lower bolts down here. I don't know if y'all can see on the time lapse, but we got the factory spindle off. We got this bolt out and this bolt out by using this. Call it pickle fork, ball joint fork, whatever you want to call it. You see how it's slanted? So you put this flat side on the bottom of where you're trying to pry from, and you hammer on this end, and it knocks it in there, and it slowly pries up the ball joint or whatever is right there. So I use that on there and there. On this tie rod, you just hit on the outside of the spindle. That's what it's made for. You just hit right here, and the vibration will knock it loose. And then same with up here. You hit up here on the metal, vibration will knock it loose. They made for that, so you're not gonna crack it or break it or nothing like that. So all this is off. We're gonna put the new SRT spindle on. Hopefully the camera keeps recording, and then we'll move on from there. All right, so everything's temporarily bolted up. I say temporary because I'm gonna torque everything down, and I'm gonna try and find the torque specs and put them in the video. But tie rods tightened up, upper control arm, lower track bar, or whatever this is, all that's on. So now we should be good to go ahead and bolt up the caliper and rotor. But I'm gonna go ahead and torque everything down while I have better access to it. And just a tip, if all of these joints, they have the ability to turn inside themselves basically. So if you start tightening on this nut and this whole stud starts turning with it, on this one you'll put that looks like a 10mm. You'll put a wrench right here on this nut and a 10mm on here to hold the center steady, and then you'll tighten it down. Same with these, except they have Allen key holes. So you'll put a wrench on this outside nut, and then you'll put an Allen key on the inside to hold it tight while you tighten down that nut. That's how that one is. That's how this one is. You can see that hole. That's how this lower ball joint one is, and then this one's got like a 10mm on the end. So if that happens, just do that. And then, so yeah, I'm gonna get the torque and everything down and go from there. All right, y'all, we got pretty much done with this side. All I got left is I got to torque the caliper bolts and swap these brake lines for the new Hellcat ones. So that's what we're gonna do next. Once I got everything bolted back up, torqued down and everything, you're gonna be ready to bleed the calipers. And if you by yourself, you can go to Harbor Freight and get one of these kits that you can bleed them by yourself. Basically, it just creates a vacuum, and you pump this up, and then you break the bleeder screw loose, and that vacuum pulls all the air out of the system. And that's, if you don't have another person to pump the brakes for you and all that, you can do it like this. So that's what I'm about to do. And you start, if you're doing all four at once, you start on the passenger rear, because your reservoir, you want to start where the furthest from your reservoir. The reservoir is right here on the driver's side. So the furthest point from that is the passenger rear, and then you'll go to the driver rear, and then you'll come over here to the passenger front, and then your last brake you bleed will be the driver front. But I already bled the rears the other day, so they're good, and I haven't driven it since I opened up the system, so it shouldn't have pulled any extra air in. All the air should only be in the caliper and the new brake line, so we should be able to just bleed this one side and then be done. And while you're doing it, watch your brake fluid levels in this reservoir. Don't let it get too low, because if it gets too low, you'll start sucking in air through there. So just keep making sure you keep topping it off, and you know, you'll set this up. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna get started on the rear, putting the rear Brembos on. I got them all painted and everything. And so I'm gonna, basically, this is my first time doing it, but I'm pretty sure looking at it. So what I'm gonna have to do is take off this bolt, sway bar bolt, control arm bolt, brake caliper, of course, and this bolt right here as well. And then you got your ABS wire right there. And then there's, let me see, there's the e-brake cable right here. That goes right there. So all that, and then to get the tension off this suspension, I'm gonna take out, if y'all saw in my other video of me putting these lowering springs on, take out this bolt right there and drop that lower control arm down so that the spring can come out, and so that all that's just decompressed or whatever. So we're just gonna start taking stuff apart and seeing how far we get. On this e-brake, is what y'all gonna want to do is take the spring off first, and it'll relieve the tension on these brake shoes, and then you can spread this open, and the e-brake cable goes through here and it latches inside of there. And I'll show y'all more whenever I get it off, but you got to be able to open this up first so you can get some slack in this, and then you can pull the e-brake cable out of there. Spring removed. This is the driver's side, by the way, so this is the front of the car pointing that way. So now you can open these up. So you see this hook, it goes up in there, it goes up and it hooks in to the e-brake cable. Y'all can see this is the e-brake cable right here, and see the opening right there? That's where that hook hooks into. But we're taking it off, so I should pull that a little bit. So see, that's the end of the e-brake cable. It's got that square cut out in it. And this basically goes in like that and hooks around the e-brake cable when you close this up, and then it sits in between those two brake shoes. It's hard to explain and it's hard to show on camera, so sorry. It's one of the things you just kind of gotta get in there and figure it out. But this should come out now. I'll show y'all kind of how that works. Now that I got it all the way off. So imagine this is poking through that hole. That hook hooks up inside of there and closes up in there like that. So that's how that works. You can see it's hooked up in there. But it's still confusing. I know this video probably ain't helping none, but hopefully it'll help a little bit. But now that's off. I've already broke all the other nuts and bolts loose, so we can just start pulling all this off. Alright, y'all, so we got the hub assembly and everything out. If you can see on that time lapse, to get this axle out, thread this axle nut up on there a lot of thread, so that it can get a good bite or whatever, and you can hammer it out of the hub, out of there, and then you can take it off and see that dimple. The dimple, you can use a one of these, or really anything that don't hit the threads. You can use it to hammer it the rest of the way out, and then of course all these just come out, your regular nuts and bolts, and your ABS wire, but it's just a little 2mm bolt also. So now that's out, we'll go ahead and if your SRT hubs came with parking brake stuff, then you can just go ahead and start installing. But I got to transfer some of these springs because mine's missing some, and I got to transfer these rubber boots that the springs sit in because the control arms that came with mine don't have them, and some of y'all might not have control arms at all. That you just have to unbolt it right there and swap your control arm. But I'm going to do that, so we're going to work on this parking brake next. This brake line, or not brake line, but e-brake. And like I said, I have to steal this part, this spring and this adjuster off of my factory one because these didn't have it. But you know, I ain't gonna lie, fool, this shit getting out of hand. I just did the whole brake, the most important part, and the camera wasn't rolling, bro. But the angles probably wasn't that good anyways, because literally I can barely see myself, much less the camera. So basically this is the cable mechanism that hooks onto the cable. As y'all seen earlier, it's like a little square with a hole in it, and the hooks inside that square. So you can see inside of there it's hooked, and that sits in between those cutouts on the brake shoes right there and right down there. And like I said, I set this side first, that has the pink spring because it's tighter, so it's easier to do it first. So after you get that set, pull this pink spring from that hole, stretch it down to that hole, and that'll pinch this side closed. And make sure these tips right here are lining up on that black square right there. And then this side, this is your adjuster. It just sits and then grooves. I would adjust it all the way in so it's easier to get inside of there. And then once you get everything set, you can adjust it by spinning these teeth. You just take a flat head like this, and you just turn it to adjust it, but I haven't adjusted it yet. And then you put your spring in there, of course, from that hole down to that hole. And like I said, just make sure your spring shoe isn't on this ledge, it's next to it. So you can see it's riding right next to it. It's not, this isn't on top of here, it's not sitting on that ledge, it's right next to it. So, but that's the brake. I'm gonna torque all these bolts down and we'll be good. So when I'm trying to put this brake, the brake line on the Brembos, I realized on the driver's side, this factory brake line has a hard 90-degree bend in it, and it's not gonna work on these brakes because the factory brakes, it mounts up on the left side of the caliper, and on the Brembos, the hose mounts on the very back of the caliper. So that 90 is unnecessary for the Brembo. So I'm gonna have to probably order, or hopefully AutoZone or O'Reilly's or something has some brake lines that don't have that 90 in it, and we'll get that on there, and then we'll be able to get these calipers on. Alright y'all, so that's basically the end of the video. As y'all seen at the very beginning, y'all already seen how it looks afterwards. But I hope this video helps some of y'all. Hopefully y'all can use it and get y'all Brembos put on and everything. I am gonna be posting a 2-step install after this video, and probably I got a few more other things I'm gonna post as far as mods and stuff to the car. So y'all stay tuned for that. And I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.